How I reshape my life after redundancy by speaking to 100 people in 100 days. This story is about all the moments that came together and changed everything. Like all the good and the great moments in life, they don't always come easy or without a little bit of work. That work, or protagonist in my story, came in the shape of yet another redundancy. October 2023, 7 years running customer service and experience for the world's best department store, disappeared in 7 minutes when I was told that my role was at risk for redundancy. When I got the news, it wasn't personal, it was just business. But that didn't really make any of it feel any better. There was a sense of loss, a sense of mourning perhaps, and actually giving myself a break, being okay with not being okay in that moment, having that moment, licking my wounds, and then action Sham was ready to go. It was time to find the job, but there was a lot of noise online, especially on LinkedIn in the UK. Lots of redundancies, lots of green banners looking for jobs. And it was towards the end of the year where everybody was, I guess, fighting for the same roles. There weren't as many customer experience roles online. And of the ones that were online, within a few hours, they had hundreds of applications submitted. And so quite quickly, this didn't feel like the right strategy for me and my job hunt. That's when I figured I needed to take a different approach, another approach, and perhaps go after the hidden jobs market. So how'd you go after the hidden jobs market? I wanted to take my fate out of the hands of systems and hiring managers who were dealing with hundreds of applications, lots of ones and zeros on CVs, hiring systems, application systems, and LinkedIn. And I wanted to go directly after the decision makers, typically for the level of role that I was looking for. That would be directors and the C-suite. So now I had my target group of people that I needed to go after. I decided to treat the job search like a job in and of itself, borrowing from the marketing gurus and funnels. I started to work backwards. The 100 people in 100 days idea was born. This would lead me to 30 deep conversations and end with 2 to 3 job offers that I could compare and consider. That's when I got started. Just 2 ground rules. Speak to one person a day and make sure I've booked in at least one person a day. That's when I went old school, grabbed some pen and paper, and I started to write down the names of everybody that I knew well, people I had worked with, people I had met over the years at customer experience events, and I ran out of steam somewhere around 50. And whilst that was half of my target of 100, I decided it was enough to get started, and I had a plan up my sleeve for how I'd get the rest of the list up to 100. Armed with my list of 50 at this point, I sent out a bunch of WhatsApp messages and LinkedIn DMs. My message was simple. I've been made redundant. I'd love to catch up. Being around familiar faces right now would help me out a lot. During these catch-ups, I never asked for a job. I just made it a genuine interaction. I explained what had happened to me, and I went out on my way to find out about them. And it was great. It was great catching back up with friends, people that I'd met over the years, and people who I guess I'd neglected because I was so busy at work. just catching back up with people, took the pressure off trying to find a job. It was just nice being around nice people. And that trick up my sleeve, in every single one of my calls, I always ended it the same. Hey, do you know anybody that you know that I should know? And could you introduce me? And before long, I blew past 100 on this list. So I was on now with the longest list to find my next job. As we were catching up, after the first couple of conversations, I was asked whether I had time to do a mini project, a side quest, if you will. And I just said yes before I even knew what it was. Whilst my original plan was always about finding a full-time job before the end of the year, this just felt like a great opportunity to be busy, do something different, and not deciding up front where it would or wouldn't lead me. It was just an opportunity, and I took it as that. Before long, I was offered a second project, followed by a third, suddenly a fourth. And now I had the brilliant problem of not just trying to look for a job, but trying to make sure I could handle all these projects that were coming my way. Life's hard, huh? All of these projects led me to the realization that I needed a way, a vehicle, if you will, to deliver this work. And that's when I started my own consultancy. I spent a couple of hours online generating a bunch of different names. I then jumped on WhatsApp with a previous mentor of mine. We went backwards and forwards a few times before I suddenly landed on the thecxway. It kind of just felt right. It had Bruce Lee vibes with it. The way of CX, the way of the dragon, the thecxway. And also it just kind of felt right. And given that I'd spent a couple of hours at this point, I felt like that was the wrong focus. And I just locked it in. I hopped online to Squarespace, bought the domain, set up my email by the end of the same day. I then hopped onto YouTube and spent 10 minutes a day working on one part of the website. By the end of the week, I had a fully functioning website. None of this was getting me any closer to my job, but it was a way to stay busy and do a couple of different things. I remember early on feeling quite goofy and excited when I Googled the thecxway and my website was the top search result. The things that make us happy, huh? Around this time in the UK, work from home was in full effect and flow. Another point of differentiation for me was being in the room. So going to as many events as I could. If somebody agreed to a coffee, traveling to them and having that coffee, not just a virtual one, and just trying to be present. Another one of my mentors contacted me to attend a bougie CX outsourcing breakfast in central London. It was very early in the morning. It was very busy to get there, but I went. I just said yes again. The room was full of some serious heavyweight players in the industry. We got talking, and one way or another, that put me in the room with Matches Fashion. Matches Fashion in its time was an incredible physical retail store that pivoted to e-commerce and had customers all around the globe. I joined Matches Fashion in November of 2023, just 1 month after redundancy, and just 1 month after I'd started the 100 People in 100 Days quest. It was amazing. I came on in a fixed term contract to work on customer experience projects. It wasn't something I was used to doing. It wasn't what I had initially set out to achieve, but Again, I just said yes. Loved every minute of it. Met incredible people and always look forward to seeing those same people every time I'm in London or every time I'm at an event. Over the last 2 years, just saying yes put me into lots of different rooms and situations. It rounded out my previous experience, spending 20 years on the brand side. I now found myself on the other side of the table, on the supplier side. I even joined a customer experience AI startup, and in 12 months, we doubled the revenue of the business, renewed almost every single one of our customers, and signed lots of new ones. Following this 12-month stint, I then decided to hop on over to the BPO landscape in outsourcing and joined Ascensos, a first source company. The owner, John, who was the key decision maker, he was on my original list of 100 people. Funny how some things work out. All of this sounds too easy, right? I wanted to give up every single day before I'd have a word with myself and book my next meeting or take my next call or grab my next cab to my next event. I gave myself some slack and I allowed myself to feel however I wanted to feel, provided after I'd felt that way, that I was then ready to get into work mode. I got comfortable with being uncomfortable really quickly. And that was the game changer. That's when everything changed. I built a system around me. Nothing too exciting, nothing too complicated. I would go to the gym. I would go for a run. I would take care of myself so that when I was looking for that job or booking that next meeting or turning up to the meeting, the best version of myself was present. This kind of structure slowly tippled into momentum. And before I knew it, I had meeting after meeting booked. I took meeting after meeting. And as I shared earlier, I got offered project after project. Consistency definitely builds momentum. Put the reps in, whatever the quality, but over time, you kind of just accidentally get good. This reference might be lost on some of you, but my 20 years of working in customer experience and customer service were the equivalent of my wax on and wax off moments. The thecxway was my tournament, and I don't really have an analogy for the crane kick, but maybe it was that first fixed term contract I got. That lack of confidence was quickly replaced with, I know how to do this. Wherever this is, whatever this wants to be, I know. So in true corporate performance review style, what did I learn? That networking works as long as you don't pitch slap people the moment you connect with them. Momentum comes from reps and consistency. Put the reps in consistently and momentum will take care of itself. The hidden jobs market is real. It's not a myth. And there's lots of different ways to unlock it. Also, never get so busy that you forget to stay in touch with those amazing people you met along the way, through the good times and the bad. So now I make it my business to book in regular catch-ups with my mentors and also with friends, colleagues, people I met over the years, and just have a catch-up. Stay in touch. Alhumdulillah for everything always. I'm always curious about how others have reacted to redundancy, how they bounced back, what they did next. Drop me a note if you ever want to talk about it.